If you're thinking about moving to Dayton, do not buy a house until you watch this video. I've helped hundreds of people move here, and what I've learned is that the popular lists are often wrong. Today, I'm sharing the real truth about Dayton's most overrated and underrated spots based on where my clients actually end up falling in love. So let's dive in. Number 1, Centerville. Let's start with probably the most requested city I hear from people relocating to Dayton. If I had $1 for every time someone emailed me and said, "We want to live in Centerville," I'd probably be retired by now. And honestly, I get it. Centerville has earned its reputation. It's centrally located. There's no shortage of shopping or restaurants. You've got easy access to I-675. And it's one of those communities that almost everyone in the Dayton area knows by name. But here's where I think buyers make their first mistake. When I ask them why they want to live in Centerville, most of the time the answer is surprisingly simple. Because everyone told us to. Not because they visited, not because they've driven the neighborhoods, not because they've compared it to other communities. It's because someone on Facebook, Reddit, or in a relocation group said, if you're moving to Dayton, look in Centerville. Centerville isn't one neighborhood. You have established subdivisions from the 1960s and 70s with mature trees and larger lots. You have luxury communities with custom homes. You have condos and patio homes for people looking to downsize. Here's what almost nobody tells you. A lot of the homes buyers think are in Centerville actually aren't in the city of Centerville. They're in Washington Township. They may have a Centerville mailing address. They may be served by the Centerville City Schools. To someone moving here, it all feels like Centerville. This matters because it changes everything from how much you pay in taxes to who shows up to plow your driveway when it snows. Now let's talk about the premium. Is Centerville expensive? And compared to much of the Dayton area, yes. Buyers are often willing to pay more because of the reputation, the location, and the convenience. But here's the question I always ask my clients. What is it about Centerville that you actually want? Is it the restaurants, the convenience, the commute, a walkable neighborhood, a newer home? Because once we answer that question, we often discover that there are other communities that check those same boxes. Centerville is the big name, but later in this video, I'm going to show you a community that costs less and actually offers more of that small town feel most of my clients are looking for. None of those places are better. They're just better for different people. So is Centerville worth the premium? Sometimes, absolutely. But don't buy there simply because everyone else tells you it's the best place to live. Buy there because it actually fits the life you want to live every day. Next up, Beavercreek. Beavercreek is one of those communities that consistently surprises my relocation clients. Interestingly, very few people contact me and say, "We've always dreamed of living in Beavercreek." But once we spend a day touring the area, it almost always moves to the top of their list. The biggest reason is simple. Beavercreek makes everyday life incredibly convenient. If you're working at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, it's hard to beat the location. You're also minutes from the Green, Fairfield Commons, Costco, grocery stores, restaurants, and just about every major retailer that you could need. For many families, being able to run errands, grab dinner, and get home without driving all over town becomes a much bigger advantage than they expected. Another reason buyers are drawn to Beavercreek is the variety of housing. Whether you're looking for a starter home, a custom luxury property, new construction, a condo, or even maintenance-free living, Beavercreek offers more options than many of the surrounding suburbs. That flexibility makes it easier to find a home that fits both your lifestyle and your budget. Now, that doesn't mean Beavercreek is perfect for everyone. If you're hoping for a charming, walkable downtown with local coffee shops, boutiques, and restaurants, you may be disappointed. Beavercreek has a more suburban feel with shopping and dining centered around major roads rather than traditional Main Street. Traffic can also be heavier than many people expect, especially around North Fairfield Road, Fairfield Commons, and the Green. One thing I always remind buyers is that Beavercreek is a large community and not every neighborhood feels the same. Some areas feel quiet and almost rural, while others are right in the middle of shopping and business districts. That's why I always encourage people to evaluate the specific neighborhood instead of making assumptions about the city as a whole. In my experience, Beavercreek is an excellent fit for military, healthcare professionals, engineers, and anyone who values convenience. If your priority is minimizing your commute, having every amenity close by, and choosing from a wide variety of homes, Beavercreek deserves a serious look. Now, Beavercreek is great for convenience, but if you're looking for something that feels a bit more hidden and historic, you have to look at Bellbrook. If you've never heard of Bellbrook, don't worry, most of my relocation clients haven't either. In fact, it's probably the community that surprises people more than any other. I'll have buyers who come to Dayton convinced that they're going to end up in Centerville or Springboro, and then we drive through Bellbrook. Before we leave, they're asking if there are any homes available. Bellbrook has a completely different feel than many of Dayton's larger suburbs. The downtown is small, but it has character. You'll find local restaurants, coffee shops, community events, and neighborhoods where people actually know their neighbors. It feels like a small town, but you're still only about 20 minutes from downtown Dayton and roughly 30 to 40 minutes from Cincinnati, depending on where you're headed. One of the things buyers love most is that Bellbrook has managed to grow without losing its identity. You won't find endless commercial development on every corner, and for many people, that's exactly the appeal. It feels quieter, more relaxed, and a little bit slower paced than some of the surrounding communities. The housing stock is also more diverse than people expect. You'll find everything from older ranch homes and established subdivisions to custom-built homes on larger lots. If you're looking for a little more privacy without moving way out into the country, Bellbrook often hits that sweet spot. Now, Bellbrook isn't for everyone. If your ideal Saturday is walking out of your front door to dozens of restaurants, shopping centers, and entertainment options, you'll probably find yourself driving to Centerville or Beavercreek. That's simply the trade-off. Bellbrook offers peace and space, but you'll give up some of the convenience that comes with living in a larger suburb. Another thing to consider is inventory. Bellbrook isn't a large community, and homes, especially the ones that are well-maintained and priced correctly, don't always stay on the market very long. If this is the area you fall in love with, you may need to be patient or be prepared to act quickly when the right home becomes available. So who tends to love Bellbrook? People who are looking for a true neighborhood feel, buyers who want a little more space, people who appreciate local businesses over chain stores, and honestly, anyone who's tired of feeling like every suburb looks exactly the same. Bellbrook may not be the first place people search when they're moving to Dayton, but it's one of the communities that leaves the biggest impression. And more often than not, it's the one that buyers tell me they would never have discovered if they hadn't taken the time to drive through it. Next up, Springboro. If you've spent any time researching Dayton, you've probably come across Springboro. It's one of the fastest growing communities in the region, and it's especially popular with executives, physicians, business owners, and people relocating from larger metro areas. The first thing that people notice about Springboro is how new everything feels. Compared to many Dayton suburbs, you'll find more modern subdivisions, newer homes, and neighborhoods built with today's buyers in mind. Open floor plans, 3-car garages, home offices, finished basements. If that's on your wish list, you'll have plenty of options here. Location is another big reason people choose Springboro. It's sitting between Dayton and Cincinnati. It's an ideal spot for anyone who needs access to both cities. I have clients where one spouse works in Dayton and the other works in Cincinnati, and Springboro often becomes the perfect compromise. You're close to I-75. Shopping continues to expand, and just about everything that you need is within a short drive. But here's where I think buyers need to be careful. Springboro has become so desirable that many people assume it's automatically the best choice. That reputation has pushed home prices higher than many neighboring communities, and sometimes buyers are paying for that zip code more than they realize. That doesn't mean it isn't worth it. It absolutely can be, but before you stretch your budget, ask yourself what you're really looking for. Is it a newer home, more space, excellent schools, a convenient location? Depending on your priorities, you may find similar homes in places like Lebanon, Bellbrook, or even parts of Washington Township for less money. Another thing to note is that while Springboro has a charming historic downtown, much of daily life revolves around its newer commercial corridors and subdivisions. If you're expecting the walkability of a larger downtown district, that's probably not what you'll find. Springboro is very much a suburban community, and for many people, that's exactly why they love it. So who is Springboro perfect for? Buyers who want newer homes, strong community amenities, and an easy commute to both Dayton and Cincinnati, and don't mind paying a little more for those conveniences. Every time I show homes in Springboro, I understand why it's so popular. It's clean, well-maintained, and it continues to grow in all the right ways. If you've watched any of my videos before, you've probably heard me mention Oakwood. It's one of the most recognizable communities in the Dayton area, and for good reason. There's really nowhere else quite like it. The first time you drive through Oakwood, you immediately notice the difference. The tree-lined streets, the historic architecture, the sidewalks, the parks, it feels established in a way that newer suburbs simply just can't replicate. Many of the homes were built decades ago, and the craftsmanship is something buyers often fall in love with. There's also a true sense of community here. Neighbors know each other, kids walk to school, people gather at local parks, and the city does an excellent job preserving what makes Oakwood unique. For people who value character over square footage, it's hard to beat. But that charm does come with its trade-offs. The biggest one is price. You're not just paying for the house, you're paying for the location, the history, and the reputation. Compared to many other Dayton suburbs, you'll often get less square footage for your money. A budget that buys a newer, larger home in another community may buy an older home that still needs updating in Oakwood. That's another thing buyers need to understand. Many of these homes are 75 to well over 100 years old. While they've often been beautifully maintained, older homes come with older plumbing, electrical systems, foundations, or maintenance projects that simply aren't as common as in newer construction. If you love historic homes, that's usually part of the experience. If you're looking for something completely move-in ready with minimal maintenance, Oakwood may not be the best fit. Parking and garages can also be an adjustment. Many homes were built long before oversized SUVs and three-car garages were the norm, so storage and parking can be more limited than what buyers expect. Even with those considerations, I completely understand why people fall in love with Oakwood. If you appreciate timeless architecture, walkable neighborhoods, mature trees, and a strong sense of community, it's one of the most special places in the Dayton area. I tell my clients this all the time. If your heart is set on a historic home, don't try to talk yourself into a newer subdivision. You'll probably always wish you had the character that Oakwood offers. But if your priorities are space, newer construction, and lower maintenance, there are other communities where your money will just simply go further. If you've read the comments on my channel, you know this city gets mentioned over and over again. Troy. And honestly, I understand why. Troy has done a fantastic job of creating a downtown that people actually want to spend time in. Between the locally owned restaurants, coffee shops, boutiques, and community events, it has a charm that's hard to find in many suburban cities today. For a lot of buyers, Troy feels like stepping back to a simpler pace of life without giving up the conveniences that they need. Another thing people love is the sense of community, whether it's the Strawberry Festival, the Farmers Market, Friday night football, or downtown events throughout the year. Troy has a strong hometown feel that attracts families and empty nesters alike. Housing is also one of Troy's strengths. You'll find historic homes with character near downtown, established neighborhoods with mature trees, newer subdivisions, and even homes with acreage just outside the city. That variety gives buyers options that fit a wide range of budgets and lifestyle. The biggest consideration is location. If you're commuting downtown to Dayton every day, it's certainly doable, but you'll be spending more time in the car than someone living in Beavercreek, Centerville, or Kettering. And if your job is in Cincinnati, Troy probably isn't the community that I'd recommend. That's why I always ask relocation buyers one simple question. Where do you need to be Monday through Friday? A beautiful town loses some of its appeal if you're adding an extra hour to your commute every day. The other thing to understand is that Troy isn't trying to be a big suburb, and that's part of the appeal. You're not going to find endless shopping centers or every national restaurant chain around every corner. Instead, you'll find a community that's proud of its local businesses and has managed to hold on to its identity while continuing to grow. For buyers who want a true hometown atmosphere, a vibrant downtown, and a little more breathing room than some of Dayton's larger suburbs, Troy deserves to be on your shortlist. It may not be the right choice for every commute, but for the right buyer, It's one of the most enjoyable places to call home in the Miami Valley. Next up is the most underrated value in the Dayton area, if you ask me. If someone told me they wanted to be close to everything, have a solid selection of homes, mature neighborhoods, and not spend a fortune, Kettering would be one of the first places that I would suggest that they look. The funny thing is, Kettering doesn't get nearly the attention Centerville, Springboro, or Beavercreek do. People relocating from out of state don't even have it on their radar. But after we spend some time driving through the city, it's amazing how often it ends up on their short list. One of Kettering's biggest strengths is its location. You're just minutes from downtown Dayton, I-675, The Green, Oakwood, and Centerville. Whether you're commuting for work or just running errands, it's hard to beat the convenience. The housing is another reason that buyers are drawn here. Kettering is filled with established neighborhoods, mature trees, and homes that have character. You'll find everything from affordable ranches and Cape Cods to larger, updated homes in some of the city's most desirable neighborhoods. Compared to some of Dayton's more expensive suburbs, buyers can often get significantly more house for their money. Now, there are some trade-offs. Because much of Kettering was built in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, many homes have already gone through one or two renovations, while others need updating. It's not uncommon to walk through two homes on the same street that feel completely different. Another misconception is that Kettering is just old. While it's true you won't find as much new construction here, many buyers actually end up preferring the larger lots, mature landscaping, and the established feel over the cookie-cutter subdivisions. So who is Kettering perfect for? People who want convenience without paying top-of-the-market prices, buyers who appreciate established neighborhoods, empty nesters looking to downsize, first-time buyers wanting to get into a great community, and honestly, anyone who values location over having the newest home on the block. Kettering may never be the flashiest suburb in the Dayton area, but that's exactly why I think it's underrated. And finally, if there's one community that's becoming increasingly popular over the last several years, it's Lebanon. And honestly, I can see why. Lebanon has managed to do something that's really difficult. It's grown without losing the charm that made people want to live there in the first place. The historic downtown is one of the best in the region. It's filled with locally owned restaurants, coffee shops, boutiques, festivals, and community events throughout the year. You can spend an entire afternoon walking around downtown, grab some dinner, stop for ice cream, and actually feel like you're in a town with a real sense of identity. For a lot of buyers relocating from larger cities, that's a huge draw. But Lebanon isn't just about the downtown. Over the last decade, the city has seen significant residential growth, which means buyers can choose between historic homes full of character, established neighborhoods, or newer subdivisions with modern floor plans and amenities. It's one of the few communities where you can have a brand new home just minutes from a downtown that's well over 200 years old. Location is another reason Lebanon continues to attract buyers. It's almost perfectly positioned between Dayton and Cincinnati, making it a great option for people who work in either city or even couples where one person commutes north and the other commutes south. Now, there are a few things to keep in mind. Because Lebanon has become so desirable, home prices have climbed. While it's often still less expensive than some parts of Cincinnati, buyers should expect to pay more than they would in many Dayton area communities. You'll also notice that the city is growing. New neighborhoods, additional traffic, and ongoing development are simply part of living in one of the fastest growing areas in Warren County. Some people love seeing that investment, while others miss the quieter Lebanon of 20 years ago. So who is Lebanon perfect for? People who want the true feel of a hometown without giving up modern conveniences. Buyers who enjoy local businesses, community events, and walkable downtowns. People who are looking for room to grow. Empty nesters who still want to be connected to an active community. Lebanon isn't trying to be Dayton, and it isn't trying to be Cincinnati. It has its own personality, and that's exactly why so many people fall in love with it. The truth is, you can spend weeks reading rankings and scrolling through forums, but the answer almost always comes when you actually get here. There's a specific feeling when you walk into the right neighborhood and realize, this is it. That is my favorite part of this job. helping you find that click in a community that you might not have even considered. So if you're planning a move to Dayton and want to skip the guesswork, let's talk. I help people relocate here all the time. We'll help you compare these suburbs side by side and find one that actually fits your life. And my contact info is right down in the description. You can call, text, or email me anytime. And if you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next tour of the Miami Valley. I'm Carrie Davis, and I can't wait to help you make Dayton feel like home. I'll see you in the next video.